What does dying feel like? Will it hurt? Will you even know when it's happening? And is there anything waiting on the other side? Or does everything just go dark? People who have died and been brought back keep reporting the same thing, over and over again. And what they describe doesn't match anything science fully predicted. If you die the way most people do, slowly, in a bed, the first strange thing won't happen to your body. It will happen while you sleep. You'll start dreaming of the dead. Dr. Christopher Kerr spent decades sitting with the dying, not studying them from a distance, actually sitting with them, listening. And what he kept hearing from patient after patient stopped him cold. He collected dream reports from over 1,400 terminal patients. Nearly 90% reported vivid, unusually real dreams in their final weeks. Not nightmares, not confusion, something else entirely. Early in the dying process, the dreams are ordinary, friends, familiar places, everyday life. But as death gets closer, the living start disappearing from the dreams. The dead walk back in, a mother gone for 30 years, sitting on the edge of the bed. A best friend who died young, standing quietly in the corner, not saying anything, just there, not threatening, waiting. Almost every patient described them the same way. More comforting than medication, more comforting than visitors, more comforting than anything the living could offer. Something was already coming to meet them. Sometimes something even stranger happens first. They wake up, not groggy, not disoriented, completely themselves. A man with dementia so advanced he hadn't recognized his own daughter in 2 years suddenly sits up and asks for her by name. Patients who hadn't spoken in weeks make jokes, finish conversations, say the things they'd been holding on to for years. Neurologists call it terminal lucidity. They have no explanation for it. A brain that scans showed was deteriorating reassembles itself, completely, for one final, present moment. In most documented cases, death follows within hours. The dying always use that window the same way, to say goodbye. After that, the body follows a sequence hospice nurses recognize without being taught it. Hunger disappears first, then thirst. Circulation pulls inward. Hands go cold. Feet go cold. Sleep begins swallowing the hours. Then breathing changes. Long silences between breaths. A sudden gasp. Then silence again. It sounds to everyone in the room like something going catastrophically wrong. But by the time breathing changes, the person inside has almost certainly already gone somewhere else. One thread still connects them to this world. In 2020, researchers attached brainwave sensors to dying patients who had become completely unresponsive. No movement, no eye contact, nothing. Then played them sequences of sound. The brains responded. Some tracked the audio exactly like a healthy, wide-awake brain. The last sense to leave is hearing, which means if someone you love was lying in that bed right now, silent and still, they can still hear you. They cannot squeeze your hand. They cannot turn their head. But your voice is still arriving. Then the heart stops. The brain runs out of oxygen. Every signal flatlines. From the outside, that's the end. From the inside, thousands of people insist that's where it gets strange. In 2001, cardiologist Pam Lommel published a landmark study in The Lancet. His team interviewed 344 cardiac arrest survivors within days of resuscitation. 62 came back with memories from the time their hearts were stopped. Not fragments, structured, sequential, detailed. Most had told no one, afraid people would think they'd lost their minds. It begins with the pain disappearing, not easing, gone, instantly, like a switch. Whatever the body was suffering, it stops. And what replaces it is something survivors spend years trying to name. They call it peace, then immediately say that word isn't big enough. Many of them stop wanting to be brought back. They leave the body next, rising without effort, looking down at their own resuscitation from near the ceiling, feeling almost nothing toward the body below, like watching someone else's coat on the floor. Some came back carrying things they couldn't have known. One patient arrived unconscious, heart stopped. A nurse removed his dentures and placed them in a specific drawer of a crash cart. Over a week later, he woke up, recognized the nurse, and told her exactly which cart, which drawer. He said he'd watched her from above. What follows is where language breaks down. A tunnel, though survivors say that word doesn't capture it. Movement through darkness towards something generating its own light. A light brighter than the sun that doesn't hurt to look at. It isn't something you see. It's somewhere you are, and it knows you. Not the version you show the world. All of it. Every shadow. Every buried thing. It doesn't pull back. Many describe a life review. Not like a film, but reliving from both sides simultaneously. They are the person who caused the wound and the person who received it at the same moment. Feeling both. The light doesn't judge them. They judge themselves. Many meet someone, a parent, a sibling, someone who died before they were born. Many reach a border, a line, a gate. Cross it and you stay. Some are given a choice. Others are sent back without one. Then they're slammed back into a body full of pain and noise. A significant number of them are furious about it. Now your rational mind is pushing back. Good. Oxygen starvation. When pilots experience extreme G-forces, they report tunnel vision and floating sensations. Deprive the brain, get a tunnel, get a light. Except pilots wake up confused and fragmented. Cardiac arrest survivors retell their stories 20 years later without changing a word. And in Van Lommel's study, longer oxygen deprivation made the experience no more likely. The brain drugs itself. In 2018, volunteers given DMT reported experiences nearly identical to near-death accounts on clinical questionnaires. Maybe dying is one final chemical trip, except no human brain has ever been measured releasing sufficient DMT at death. And no lab volunteer ever returned with verified information about a room they weren't in. One case makes every explanation uncomfortable. Pam Reynolds. Aneurysm too deep for conventional surgery. Surgeons cool her body to 15 degrees Celsius, stop her heart, drain the blood from her skull. Brainwaves flat, brainstem silent. Speakers sealed in her ears firing loud clicks to confirm, in real time, that no auditory processing is occurring. By every instrument medicine has, nothing of her remains that can experience anything. She wakes up with a story. She describes the surgical saw, says it looked like an electric toothbrush with interchangeable blades in a case like a wallet. She describes a remark made by her surgeon. She describes the moment her blood was drained. The surgical team confirmed every detail. Every piece has a proposed explanation. No one has produced a single framework that covers all of them at once. Then there is Vicki Umipeg, born premature. The oxygen that saved her destroyed her optic nerves. She had never seen anything, not light, not color, not even images in her dreams. 22 years of complete darkness. After a car crash left her clinically dead, she described rising above the emergency room, watching the trauma team below, seeing her own body on the table. She recognized herself by her hair, by her wedding ring. She said it was the first time she had ever seen anything in her life. The first thing she ever saw was herself. Two options, both extraordinary. Either the dying brain produces a hallucination so detailed, so consistent, so identical across thousands of people from different cultures and centuries, that it fools every single one of them without exception, and in some cases generates verified information it had no physical mechanism to obtain. Or something about consciousness is less attached to the body than science currently has tools to measure. Pick a side. But notice what both sides agree on. Not one stage of this. Not the dreams, not the peace, not the light, not the life review, has ever been described as painful. Van Lommel followed his patients for 8 years after their experiences. They had changed. Less materialistic, more honest, less afraid of failure, less afraid of judgment, almost without exception and no longer afraid to die. The only people with first-hand experience of what dying feels like came back less afraid of it than you are right now. Whatever is waiting inside that final minute, mercy appears to be built into it. The fear lives entirely on this side.